Welcome back to this Inside Story special from Cairo. We're discussing Egypt's youth with our guests Jawad Nabulsi, Hussam Al-Hamlawi, and now joining us Sundus Asim, who's the deputy editor of Ikhwan Online, the website of the Muslim Brotherhood. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here again. Sundus, in the first half of the program, we looked at the vast scope of issues affecting the youth in Egypt. Why is the Muslim Brotherhood the answer to the problems of Egypt's youth?
Well, first of all, the Muslim Brotherhood is the largest opposition group in the Egyptian political life. It's a deeply rooted religious and socio-economic movement with a large popular base. The Muslim Brotherhood adopts a broad reformist agenda. This includes economic reform, social reform, and political reform. We believe in the Muslim Brotherhood that we have answers to many of the problems that the Egyptian people face nowadays, beginning from poverty and ending with political despotism and corruption. We believe that the Muslim Brotherhood is truly a viable political alternative to the current repressive regime.
But the youth can't make any difference with the Muslim Brotherhood by joining the Muslim Brotherhood while it's still banned, surely?
Well, many youth are actually attracted to the Muslim Brotherhood because of the many positive sides within the movement. The Muslim Brotherhood offers an outlet for some disaffected youth to practice their political activism, their social activism, to participate in some reform activities inside Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood has many reformist projects inside Egypt. It has the largest charity networks. So many youth who are actually interested in practicing some positive activism and adding to the political and social sphere inside Egypt, they feel enthusiastic and happy to join the Muslim Brotherhood, not only because it is a religious group, but also because it has much broader reformist agendas.
All right, let's bring in Hussam here. Hussam, the opposition seems to be quite vast. You have the Kifaya activists, you have secular activists, you have the Muslim Brotherhood, but it does seem quite fractured. Who's more reluctant to meet who halfway?
I mean, it goes through ups and downs. I mean, there are times where you feel that the secular and the Islamist forces are more than happy to sit down on the same table and coordinate. And there are other times where there is just terrible political sectarianism, I mean, between groups that prevents them from getting together. But it's also important to note that from December 2006 up until today, the country has been witnessing the biggest and the most sustained wave of strike actions and labor protests. And this is happening more or less independently from most of the opposition groups, if not all of them. So we also have to put some question marks on the opposition groups themselves and their membership. Which classes do they come from? What are they doing in order to intervene in the industrial action or not?
Jawad, I came across some interesting statistics from research done by the Al-Ahram Center for Political and Strategic Studies. And you were quite optimistic regarding the youth earlier, and I'm going to pose this to you now. It found that 92% of the youth polled are afraid of getting into politics. 92% saw no point in political participation. 80% don't know the meaning of a political party. Now, for me, that's quite astounding. This was done 3 years ago. My question to you, would that have changed? Would it be any different now, 3 years later?
I think the statistics should be shot back at the youth themselves. I mean, there's no reason why the youth, if not, maybe there's a reason why should not be politically active, but why shouldn't they be politically aware? I mean, they have the newspapers, you have the blogs, you have the YouTube, you have a lot of internet sources that you can learn about politics. So I think the major change, or I think maybe what I think is happening, is that people are becoming more aware and more willing to learn. And these statistics, I think, will change in the next 4 to 5 years dramatically.
Hussam, are you that optimistic? And is that apathy because of the state?
It is, of course, because of the state. I mean, it's only like since 2004 that we started to have some serious independent press. But before that, and a 20,000 strong demonstration at a university would not have surfaced in any news, in any state-owned newspaper, or they would have misreported it as a pro-Mubarak demonstration, I mean, usually. So, I mean, I am optimistic, but not necessarily because of the state. And the apathy is changing, but it's because people have started now seeing images, first of the small kifaya demonstrations in downtown Cairo, and now the mass strikes that are engulfing the industrial urban centers in Egypt.
Sundus, let's look at this on a broader scale in terms of foreign policy. With the Egyptian alliance with the United States that seems to back the Israelis over the Palestinians, the United States that invaded Iraq, with that alliance, has that helped galvanize the youth against the regime?
Of course, the Egyptian regime is one of the biggest allies of the United States, and I think that this alliance and the US backing of the Egyptian regime has helped a lot in fostering the despotism that the Egyptian regime practices against the Egyptian people, because it finds some support from the world's largest power. I think that the US is not the only reason for galvanizing this youth activity. I think that the reason for such feelings of disaffection within the Egyptian youth are primarily because of the practices of the Egyptian regime. I disagree.
So it's more internal than external?
Absolutely, and I disagree with Mr. Jawad that the youth are to blame for the apathy that they have now. On the contrary, I think that the reason for this apathy, the direct reason for this apathy, is actually the constant repression practiced by the regime against all sectors of the society, including the Egyptian youth. I think most of the youth movements since 2005 up till now have faced a lot of crackdown by the Egyptian regime, including many harassments such as arbitrary arrests, torture inside police stations, and also youth, like also older generations, are not allowed to form legitimate political parties or have any legitimate outlet to practice their political activities. So I believe that the regime is to blame for all what is happening. And of course, the US backing has a role, but it's not the main role. I think that we can change the status quo from inside. There needn't any external pressures from Western governments so as to bring about any reform. I think reform should come from inside, and it should be peaceful and gradual. And of course, the youth are part and parcel of this reform process.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fantastic hearing your thoughts on Inside Story tonight. Jawad Nabulsi, Hussam Al-Hamlawi, and Sundus Asim, and earlier Ahmed Salah. It's been an educational experience and nice picking your brains here tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you so much, the viewer, for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. As always, we welcome your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye-bye for now.